Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Porter. I'm a friend of Carrie's, and I want to first start out by congratulating Carrie for taking on this endeavor, but also for setting up these different videos on our Facebook feed and for really going out and trying to find ways to give you information that you need, because I think information is empowering, and it's also important to really think about the source that you're getting your information from and the types of things that you're trusting. And so I'm a professor in biomedical sciences at the University of Windsor. I did my PhD and McMaster and then my postdoc in San Diego. And I am the executive director of an institute called We Spark Health Institute. And it really is a really great position because I get to be sort of the face for a number of researchers, a large number of researchers across Windsor, Essex, that are focusing on a huge variety of different really important areas of health. And research is so important because really it's about answering so many questions that are not yet known. And like we're finding out with COVID, you're kind of involved right now in a live research experiment. So you're seeing that as we get new information, we have to adjust what we know. And my job is really admitting that we don't know everything about everything. And it's just about finding the truth using proper methods and really being able to set up experiments, but also to be able to and do research myself, but also to be able to trust and find those kinds of resources from other people that are credible. And so I could speak about a lot of different topics. My research area is cancer. And so if there's something that you really particularly want to hear about, I'm happy to come back and do another video for Carrie if you let her know about the specific topic that you have questions about. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about your skin and skin cancer because Carrie is right now working on all different sorts of skin products through Rogan and Fields. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to share my screen in a minute to show you a couple slides so you have some images. But also, I just want to sort of give you guys a reference to my TEDx talk. So if you look up Cancer Happens by Lisa Porter, it's a TEDx. It's about 18 minutes long, but if you can stick through it, I think I give lots of important information that I really hope that the public will listen to. And it also ends off with an analogy that I think is important, but it's also one that my husband, Don, who's not a scientist, came up with. And so I'm proud of him for that. So I hope you'll stick through the video and give it a watch. So I'm going to share my screen with you now, and I'm going to go to this screen here, and it's going to move into first slide that I share with my class. And I teach a course called Regeneration, and regeneration is really about making new cells out of old ones. And it's something that regeneration is the process that normally keeps us young. So when you're young, all of the different systems of your body are really, every time they get damaged or even just constantly, for some cells, are constantly turning over. And that's why when we're young, we can do so many things, even in our brain, we can remember things because those cells are constantly turning over and remaining young and vital. But as we age, that process gradually depletes. And that's just a consequence of aging. It's because we have stem cells that exist in all of the different tissues of our bodies. And those stem cell pools start to decline as we get older. And so that's why all of the different tissues of our body start giving us more trouble as we get older. But it's also, from a skin's perspective, why your skin starts to get duller as you age. Also, as we age, those cells, because they're not turning over, start accumulating damage. And the more damage that you have to your cells, the more damage that they're accumulating. And that's why cancer can happen as we get older. And so, you may have seen kind of images like this, and all of the different skin layers in your body differ depending on where we're talking about. The skin is actually our largest organ. And so it's covered by this upper epidermis, and that's where I'm going to zoom into a little bit later. The epidermis and the underlining dermis are really what we think about when we're talking about different things that you can do to treat your skin. And then underlining that, there are these other parts of your dermis, and this is where the pigmented cells of your skin lie, as well as things like blood vessels and nerves are very rich in this area. And then there's this strong supporting area that we call the hypodermis. If I look in a little bit more carefully, this is this upper epidermis. And it's really the skin that we have access to ourselves. And you can see here that it's not simple. There's multiple cell layers. And really the top layer of your skin is just dead cells. And so most of what's on the outside of your skin is dead. And then underlining it are a couple different layers of skin. But importantly, this underlining really low level of skin is called a basal layer. And that's where cells called stem cells can lie. And these stem cells that normally lay in this area are able to give rise to all of these different cells continuously. But when we're young, these cells are constantly turning over. As we age, as I mentioned, this process becomes more stagnant. And so we stop getting the constant turnover, and we also see this sort of thinning out of these different kinds of layers. And this is really important if you damage your skin. And so somebody like me who has really fair skin and is really susceptible to sun damage knows this all too well. We know that the sun gives off multiple different types of UV damage. The ones that really get to our skin are UVB and A. A is the one that can actually really damage because it can get down to the lower layers of your skin, but UVB even can penetrate into the upper layers. If you use sort of a general sunscreen with protection, so sort of the protection up to 30 can really block these rays. And so that's why it's so important to use sunscreen, because you're going to block out those rays that can do damage to the underlining layers of your skin. Of course, it doesn't matter if you're tanning or burning, you're still soaking in these UV rays, and that's doing damage to your skin. And so while it might look more healthy to be tanned, indeed, you're still damaging your DNA. And damage to the DNA, if you watch my YouTube video or my TEDx talk, you'll find out is what really is what's capable of initiating cancer. And so, of course, you want to constantly watch for different kinds of changes to your skin. As we age, and especially if you're a freckled person like me, or if you have moles, those are normal things that will exist on your skin. But what you really want to watch for is changes. Sometimes you'll get a large brown age spot, and that really is benign. It's nothing that's anything to worry about, but definitely go to a skin specialist and get them to check out your skin. If you're seeing any changes that are ones where they're changing their shape, they're changing how raised they are on the skin, and especially if they become sores that are bleeding, etc. These are things that you want to really get checked out. So skin treatments, there's lots of different skin treatments out there, lots of different questions about whether these work. I'm not here to endorse Rogan and Fields. I don't work for them. But one of the things is that there is some science behind different kinds of skin treatments. The different things like the skin rollers that have the little needles that poke down into your skin, what those do, oops, this kind of opened up something here. What those do is they poke down into the layers of skin, and they allow different kinds of product to be able to get down into the lower layers of skin. And so that's how that works, but it also causes a damage. And so as you damage the skin, in this case, it's one that we want because it's a very small little bit of damage that will then encourage those basal cells to start giving rise to the new upper layers. And that's why when you do these kinds of treatments, it causes the cells to sort of become more bright, your skin to become bright, because it's actually forcing the turnover of those cells. And so as we get older and that process becomes slower, this is really encouraging that process to happen at a faster rate. There are things like retinoic acid that you've heard of. Retinoic acid in some of these products is what it's doing. It's an acid, and it's actually getting rid of that upper layer of dead cells. And that, again, encourages the basal layer of cells to start turning over. And so it is a very real effect. This actually causes new cells to be made. Of course, that's why there's also product recommended for different age levels. Somebody who's 20 years old doesn't need to do this. Their cells are naturally turning over. And in fact, what we know is that, we don't have some stem cells that these are meant for us to have until we're, our lifespan. But if we push them too much when we're young, we really don't know what the implications of that are going to be. And so it's probably wise for young people to not do these processes too early. These are really meant for when your cells are naturally starting to turn over. We also know things like light, and there are all sorts of ways to stimulate these cells to grow. Really, the only way to get down to those lower layers of our hypodermis, etc., is through cosmetic procedures. And there are cosmetic procedures that add back different kinds of structural things to your skin. And I think the only way to do that is to go and see a specialist to get these kinds of procedures done. And so again, really visit my TEDx talk if you want to learn more about cancer, and also check out WeSpark. We have lots of different resources for you, and let Carrie know if there's anything specific that you want to hear from me about. So again, thanks to everybody for watching this. Good luck, Carrie, and everybody stay healthy. And I'm going to turn off my video. Bye-bye.